Keith Noble Show, brought to you by AutoChicks and the Nobles Financial Network. Look them up on Facebook. Worth your time. So, we're going to talk today about racism. We're going to talk today about why racism is wrong. So, as I've mentioned previously, I am an adherent to the belief that all men are created equal with the same natural rights. That's my premise. So, from that premise, I extrapolate out that if all men are created equal with the same natural rights, that racism is wrong. And I can extrapolate that out from my premise because if all men are created equal with the same natural rights, then whatever color their skin is or their ethnicity, gender, whatever, is not a relevant factor in determining who they are. Now, culture does play a role, and that's absolutely true. But there's nothing inherent in skin color or ethnicity as to who that person is or will be. Hence, this is the basis for racism being wrong. It's wrong to discriminate somebody on factors that are inherent to them. They have no say over. They had no choice. No, you treat everyone how they deserve to be treated. You treat people according to the content of their character, as Martin Luther King reminded us. Okay. So, this is why I can oppose racism, on that premise. So, you should understand, Marxist, socialist, progressives reject that premise. Marxism, socialism, progressivism is premised on the belief that not all men are created equal, that not everyone has the same natural rights. In fact, that this is all an artificial construct. So they believe the very idea of racism is an artificial construct. This is important to notice, important to know. Because when progressives say somebody is racist, they aren't referring to it in any standard sense. They aren't referring to it that all men are created equal with the same natural rights. No, they're referring to it as an artificial construct in their own words. So, that artificial construct, because it's artificial, there's no objective truth here to anything they believe, can be altered at any time they find it convenient for them to do so. And there's countless examples of this in history. Cuba is essentially an apartheid government. You should talk to Cubans if you don't understand that. The Sandinistas took over. The Marxists took over in Nicaragua in the 1980s. They conducted genocide against the Mosquito Indians. Interestingly enough, Bernie Sanders was on board with that. Bernie Sanders excused it. Even Ted Kennedy called out Bernie Sanders for supporting the genocide of the Mosquito Indians. So, their idea that this is all an artificial construct, their idea that racism can be whatever is politically convenient at the moment, or not be whatever is politically convenient at the moment, means the word has no term at all. It has no basis at all. The only basis to oppose racism is to believe all men are created equal with the same natural rights. That is the basis for opposing racism. What these people have done, Marxist, socialist, progressives, is they have weaponized the term racist. And they mean anybody who's not Marxist, socialist, progressive. That's what it means to them. There are certainly racists out there. But this is not what these people are referring to. Now, they may pick someone like Richard Spencer, who I think most people would agree is a racist, and say, see, that's a racist. And then they extrapolate that out to people who do not share his beliefs because they use it as a political weapon. Has nothing to do with actual racism, has nothing to do with believing all men are created equal, has zero to do with any of that. No, it really has a lot to do with critical theory. And critical theory created a fictional history of the world and of the United States, where the world was colonized by white Europeans because white Europeans were inherently evil people. I mean, that's essentially what they proclaim. Now, this is interesting. Uh, 2,000 years ago, Rome figured out a series of methods for doing things diplomatically, economically, financially, banking that were scalable. And not only scalable, but they could cross ethnic lines and racial lines and cultural lines and language lines. Over the next 2,000 years, Europe and the United States kind of built on that. And what evolved was a system of countries cooperating that were kind of standardized. The world really runs off of this model that was developed over the last 2,000 years because it was scalable and it worked. Bottom line. Well, critical theory, Marxist, socialist, progressives reject that in its entirety. They ascribe it completely to racism. Not to the idea that the ideas were scalable and functional, but to racism. Now, there's a reason China today, probably the second most powerful country in the world, uses Western banking, Western diplomacy, Western finance, because it works, not because Germans and British colonized them in the late 19th century. Okay? It's just an absurd assertion by the critical theory people. By the same token, they say, well, America was founded on slavery, and they come up with the 1619 Project, which is fiction. It's fiction. Even the people who created it have admitted it wasn't true. Yet they're teaching it in schools, and people repeat it as though it's truth. No, it's fiction to lead you to draw a conclusion about racism that is not warranted. That people have to create fiction to justify their political positions of today should tell you everything you need to know about the value of those political positions. Should tell you everything you need to know about their willingness to deceive to get their way. This is obvious. I mean, it's obvious to everyone, other than those who don't want to see it, don't want to wish it or believe it was true. But this is how Marxist, socialist, progressives have functioned for the last 150 years. Again, the belief it's an artificial construct. If it's an artificial construct, there is no truth. There is no false. There's simply whatever is convenient today to gain power. Because these people have generally come to believe that they are morally superior. Their vision of the world is morally superior. Hence, anything they do is justified because the world they create is so wonderful. Even though every time they've tried this, it's ended in disaster, misery, poverty, and death. Every single time. It's like a virus. People get infected and they can't see simple reality and truth. So, the idea here of racism, the opposition to racism being wrong, being premised on the Enlightenment notion that all men are created equal with the same natural rights, is what socialist, Marxist, progressives reject. That's important to know. That's important to understand. The United States Constitution makes no differentiation as to race. Now, progressives say, well, 3/5. Well, they have no idea. 3/5 were argued for by the pro-slavery states because they wanted their slaves counted to get more representation in Washington. Had nothing to do with viewing people of African descent as being 3/5 of humans. That's fiction. It's easily disproven fiction for anyone who cares to look into it. Frederick Douglass, if you don't know him, if you're not familiar with him, you should look him up. Just go Google him. Read the things he said and wrote. There's probably no greater authority on the Constitution of slavery than Frederick Douglass. I would advise you, before you go off and mindlessly repeat what these people claim is true but is not, that you do at least a little work. Go read Frederick Douglass. Go read the Federalist Papers. Go read any of these things and find out the truth. Find out why slavery is wrong. Find out why racism is wrong. Find out we're all created equal with the same natural rights. That this is not some artificial construct as the left claims it is. So, thank you for joining us today. And go look up The Nobles Financial Network and Auto Chicks on Facebook. And like, subscribe, share this station, please. And we'll see you tomorrow.